Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DM show. Great to have you here. And hi, Martin. How are you?
Hi, Deirdre. Great to be here and nice to see all of you and welcome everyone. And of course, as always, before we get started, if you have any comments or questions, please, pop them into the comments and also let us know who you are, your name, and where you're based. It's Halloween. Neither of us are in costume. At least I'm not yet. We'll see what
Yes.
happens tonight. But we have a guest who I don't think is scary, but
No?
he may scare us into kind of approaching the way we communicate in a more effective way.
Exactly. I've been looking forward to this because communicating with impact is something we could all use. And our guest today, Todd Wall, is going to show us how we can turn everybody in our audience into a raving fan. What do you think of that, Martin?
Much better a raving fan than a raving lunatic, which, on Halloween could be one of the things. No, I think it's great because it's so tough to engage your audience in a meaningful way. And so I'm really looking forward to picking up a few tips. Got my notepad and pen ready.
Exactly. Well, let's introduce Todd.
Okay.
So a little bit about Todd Wall. He's spent 30 years in live sports broadcasting. He is a leadership coach. He is an expert who makes experts, and he's also known as a communication coach for introverts. I highly recommend everybody check out Todd on LinkedIn, and let's bring Todd into the broadcast.
Okay.
Hey, Todd.
Hey guys, how are you doing? You guys are a couple of my favorite people. I can't wait to jump in and share some gold with you guys.
Oh, yeah, same here.
You as well. And hopefully you like the applause. That's a new little effect that StreamYard has.
So that wasn't just in my mind. That's good.
No,
okay,
that was
good.
That was real.
There we go.
Very good. So Todd, we gave the introduction. Mm-hmm. We talked about turning the audience into raving fans. Maybe before we go there, let's just kind of assess a little bit. How do you think professionals are doing out there? Are people showing up? Are they scripted? Are they authentic? What do you think?
It's a combination of several factors. Some I'm seeing a consistent pattern where some people are following certain patterns. I'm a person who helps X, Y, and Z, and almost to the point where that pattern is even becoming mundane. The person who connects is the person who's authentic, who really with empathy connects with another person. And so anytime they're in a situation, whether it is a leader, that if they're just coming at you with information, you're going to back off naturally. But that person who's almost a shoulder-to-shoulder guide with someone where you're walking through an adventure together, those are the ones who are really, really connecting. But it's an intentional process, and intentionality is the absolute key. Because honestly, most of the situations that are the critical situations we're in are unexpected situations, or we think that they're unexpected. And they're like, someone walks up angry and you're like, okay, I need to react in a certain way. You can prepare ahead of time for who you want to be in those moments, based off operating within a framework so that you never have to be in a script. You can be your authentic self in any situation.
Oh, I like that. I like the shoulder to shoulder. Because that says we're in it together. We're comrades.
And that is absolutely critical. Because if you're on stage, if you're in front of a meeting, if you're at the grocery store and you're talking at somebody, they're gonna back up. They're gonna tune you out. It becomes a loaded weapon instead of an arm around and let's get through this together.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, so maybe I'm jumping ahead, but you mentioned that framework. Why don't we get into it now? And that way, our viewers / listeners, however they're watching and or taking this in, will be able to ask questions about it because it sounds really interesting. And I know for me, sometimes, I'll prepare or think about things, but emotions take over.
Yeah.
And I know if I'm a little bit angry, I lose an argument. That's it. I just know that, but it's tough to pull myself back from that.
It is. And so ultimately it's about the connection with the audience, the person you're talking to. If you're all mouth and no ears, then all you're thinking about is what you're going to say next. And if you don't make a connection with the other person, they're not going to follow you in a direction. Impact is when you trigger an action to be taken. So if an action isn't taken, then there is no impact. That's just words that went out into the universe. And just you may have felt good about those words, but ultimately impact is the action that's taken. So it starts with intentionally identifying as a communicator, what is the action I want somebody to take? And when I begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey says, when I begin with the end in mind, this is the action I want them to take. I want them to click this. I want them to take this action. Now I can back up. I can work backwards and go, how do I need to communicate? How do I need to connect with this person so that they'll come on this journey with me? They'll take the action that I desire for them to take. It's very intentional. If we're not intentional about the ultimate target at the end, then we're going to be reactive to our emotions in the moment, just like you're talking about. And so intentionality carries us through because we have a purpose and an end that we're aiming at.
So Todd, if you trigger an action and you want to be intentional about it, so think about that impact, do you recommend baby steps with the action, or go big or go home?
It depends on the situation. I mean, oftentimes, there's a sales philosophy out there that is you build momentum with the yeses. It starts with small yeses that a person needs to make. There's a risk to yes ladder that I've created where the first yes that any person needs to make is this a problem that impacts me, that's relevant to me, that I actually feel? And no matter what you're communicating, this has to be a problem that they feel and that they need to do something about. They're at risk with this problem. But that second layer of the risk is that the hope that person's offering, is it something that applies to me and is attainable? The third element of the risk there is this person someone who's actually talking at me? Or are they credible? Are they trustworthy? Or are they empathetic to my cause?
Yeah, you make a really good point. I like your risk ladder. Makes a lot of sense in kind of how you move up the ladder.
Those are necessary steps. I mean, there's two more steps to it, but those are necessary steps, the entry point to get a person to do anything. Because ultimately, there's three main triggers that every person is looking for. Is what this person's offering me, is it going to save me time? Is it going to make me money? Or is it going to make me a better person? And everything I communicate, whether to my team, to my customer, to any audience, is this going to save me time? Is this going to make me money? And is this going to make me into a better person, or a person that I really want to believe in?
So go back to the intentionally identifying, and once you get that action, what else shapes the framework?
So let me use this as an illustration. We started talking about the creating raving fans. So let's go into that. That goes into my background with live sports broadcasting, with ESPN, Fox Sports, every major sporting event you can name. I've worked at least once. There's a very intentional approach to making raving fans, because here's the surprising thing is that everything shifted in 1960. Sports did not used to be a big thing on television. It was on, but it wasn't on. People weren't actually watching it. And I don't know if you're a communicator, how often do you feel on but not really on? It's like you're giving a message, but no one's really following that message. So in 1960, you guys would remember ABC's Wide World of Sports. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. It was a guy by the name of Roone Arledge. He shifted everything in 1960 with a memo to ABC Sports. And the shift was away from just reporting the game. I mean, the game had been reported on radio and television for a long time, and a lot of people followed, but they weren't raving. People weren't painting their faces and throwing things at the television when the game didn't win, their team didn't win. There was a difference of followership. But something shifted. Rune Arledge said, he said, this is about the audience, is about the fans. It's not about our intelligence and reporting the game. We need to bring people along. And so this is the first time they started miking the crowd and showing a camera of the crowd and their reactions to the game, of the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat. And that transition began a framework and a formula that now every sport, from the NFL to dodgeball, uses. And the beautiful thing is, it doesn't just apply to just sports. This framework can apply to any and everything, because it's critical principles about how to create raving fans.
It's really interesting, because when you say that Rune Arledge, ABC, shifted the camera to look at the audience, that created empathy, which is like that first step on your ladder. Just a quick other sports mention, because tonight is Game 6 in the World Series. Toronto, where I am, the city's turned into raving fans for the Blue Jays. So really, for brands, it's great during success, but how can you keep that up all year long?
My speakers are messing up on me just a little bit. So let me walk through the intentionality and kind of show behind the scenes a little bit. So for 30 years, one thing that happens in every broadcast that takes place is, beforehand, all the camera operators get into a circle, and they're all given an assignment. This one's going to do this camera that has this angle. This one's going to do this camera that has that angle. And the director and sometimes the producer will come into that room and they will explain, all right, everybody, here's what's going on today. We've got this team versus this team. Here's the storylines that we have at play, and here's what's going on. And so they don't just show up to the game and let's just see what happens. There's a storyline laid out before the game even takes place. Here's what's been going on. Here's the things that we're looking for. So they'll say to this camera operator, okay, in this situation, look for X, Y, and look at this player here. He's had an injury, and let's see if he can react. I want you to keep an eye on this particular player. He has this particular streak maybe, or he's going for this record. And so we're looking at that challenge that may be taking place. The challenge is the critical factor to the audience. You must pull people into a conflict. Pull them into a David versus Goliath. Pull them into a challenge that they can be proud of if the champion occurs. Because here's the biggest principle of this. They stopped reporting the game and they started inviting people into a new identity. That third trigger is, are you making me a better person? Are you making me a person I'm proud of? That's why people started painting their faces. They started inviting people into a new identity, and they put this challenge in front of them every single game. Here's how I know this is intentional. So I'm in Dallas and worked for the Dallas Mavericks, the Dallas Stars, the Cowboys, and the Dallas Mavericks in particular. They weren't always a good team. In the 80s, they really struggled. In the 90s, they really struggled. And I remember times working in that small arena, when it was a small arena, when it was crickets. It was quiet. There wasn't an excitement. Even when the team did well, the crowd didn't really get that excited. But Mark Cuban came in, he bought the team, and he shifted something. He created this idea of what he calls the MFFL, Mavs fan for life,
Mm.
who is rowdy, proud, and loud. And he started giving away free tickets to people who painted their face, who got excited and would really get behind the challenge. And that became a rowdy group that then became the Maniacs. And so what he did that shifted the culture is he gave the audience an identity to believe in. And that's ultimately what every sports team does. I'm a Cowboys fan, or I'm a Chiefs fan, or whatever team you identify with. There's an identity that says, I am this because it makes me better. It makes me I want to be like my hero, Pat Mahomes. I want to rise through a challenge just like Emmitt Smith. What I really want to lay out is the intentionality of it. And as a communicator, if you lay out in front of your team, here's the challenge that's in front of us right now. And it's very critical that it's this versus this. I was in a coaching session with a manager who's working on turning into a leader yesterday. And through the coaching, he recognized that unintentionally the environment had become a toxic environment. And there was this apathy about the customer, this apathy about helping other people. There was just this attitude that had become toxic. And he recognized where he was even leading into that toxicity. And so we laid out a picture of what does happily ever after look like? And so what kind of environment do you want your team to have in order to react and get the outcome that you're looking for? Because we talk about communication is just math. It's not personal. If the outcome is not what you're looking for, you just have to change the variables in front of it. And so it's not personal. It's just something you just need to just change just a little bit. So we laid out we created a framework where he said, I want my team to be experts who are helping other experts. And so that created this dichotomy of they value their customer. So they were no longer just beat down by the customer service they were providing. He wanted them to recognize that they were experts at what they did. And so they were experts helping experts. He said, but then which means we have to fight against, and we laid out specifically the apathy of X, Y, and Z, the fear of 1, 2, and 3, that if I reach out, I won't be taken care of. And we analyzed clearly what the opposing force was. And by the end of that session, he was just like, his tension level when we came in was at a high. It was at a 10. And any coaching, you always check in afterwards and go, what's your tension level at this point? He said, it's down near a 2 or a 3 at this point.
Great.
Yeah. He was able to see clearly what the target outcome was and what the opposing forces were. And he's going to try to create raving fans among his team that then will result in raving fans as customers.
That's really good. Deirdre, before you go, I just want to welcome all the people who said they're here. We have guests from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from Nigeria, from Ghana,
from Riveridge,
from New Jersey. Yeah. So from Egypt, welcome everyone. And one of the people who joined us, Aman, said, is this recorded? Yes. These sessions are always recorded. So all you need to do, if you join late or want to watch after the fact or have to leave early for whatever reason, just go back to the event. Once it's over, click the play button and you will have a recording of it. Deirdre.
Okay. So Todd, that was a lot of great advice, insights, and a lot to unpack. So I want to go back because it sounds that when you create the new identity, first off, you are getting people to become a part of a community. Sometimes you're making them feel like the hero in the story. And what you said about how if you can see it and be intentional, that means if you can map it, if you can visualize it, you can change those variables and make it happen. So that was really interesting.
Those are critical factors. I mean, I want to point out an obvious fact. Fans don't naturally keep stats. Yet, so how is it that a fan knows that this person's going for this record or this is the struggle that's at play right now? The only way for the audience to know that is to put that out in front of them. And these situations that take place, I talked about how to be unignorable and unforgettable. It's about getting in the fire with the audience. It's about getting into the struggle with them, but not in a way where you're talking at them, but in a way, like we said, you're shoulder to shoulder. And there's very specific technique that the sports uses that creates this environment where, honestly, hey, how many fans have actually been the general manager of a team? Very few. How many have actually coached a team? Very few. Some have played the sport, but how many have played the sport at that level? Very, very few. Yet, how many fans feel like they know better than the quarterback? They know better than the coach. They know better than the GM. And when the team doesn't win, they're going to throw something at the television, or they're going to pout for a week because they're so emotionally connected. That doesn't happen naturally. And so throughout the game, there's some very specific things that take place. First off, they lay out very early. It's this versus this. It's today we welcome the dreaded New York Yankees and Murderers Row. And this, that there's something at stake. They'll quickly say, today we're 2 games above 500 and it's only X number of weeks before the playoffs. If we can win today, then we're one step closer. Also be on the lookout for so-and-so who's on this hot streak of X number of games, doing 1, 2, and 3. And so let's see if he can continue that streak today. They lay out very early, here's the challenge at play, because if there's not an opponent, you kind of lose interest. If the teams who don't go up against another strong team, the viewership is naturally down. But the big games are the ones with the good teams against the good teams. So as a leader, as a communicator, if you don't talk about the opponent that's at play here, whether it's apathy, whether it's whatever the opposing force is, it doesn't have to be a literal person, but there's always a villain in every story. There's always an opposing force. As the leader, if I don't lay that out, then and hold it out there clearly, then people aren't going to care as much. I coach a lot of people on creating their offer, and they'll talk a lot about the attribute of my product is this, and they can really rattle off the bullet points that talk about it. And I say, people actually don't compare toothpaste to toothpaste until they know their breath stinks. Until you've convinced them that their breath stinks, they really don't care if one has nuclear fusion versus unicorn hair. They really don't care until they know that there's a problem at hand that they need to solve. And so once they've checked down that and they've engaged in that problem, that's when you notice in a game they have a play-by-play announcer and a color announcer. And there's very specific techniques that they're walking through that when I lay them, I'm going to lay them out, some of them out for you. And now so that every time you watch a game, you can train yourself on communication, because there's specific techniques that draw that audience in. Would you like to walk through some of those with me?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So first off, one of the techniques you'll see is they'll go to replay or in between plays. They're gonna spotlight a turning point. They're gonna shine a light on a specific action or activity that was a critical moment. How does the fan know it's a critical moment? How does your audience know it's a critical moment? They don't know it automatically. They need you to shine a light on that. and shine the light on that as an expert that's not talking at people, but go, hey, have you noticed? Or, hey, look at this when this occurs, and you're going to see this happen. Ooh, you see Tony Romo will go, ooh, see that? He'll get all excited and in the moment. And Deirdre, you and I talk about the nonverbals and our physical reactions, a lot of things. Have you ever noticed that one of the new filler words is this word right?
Yes, that is out there. I hear it all the time.
It's imposter syndrome that's speaking up. It's a person goes, I don't feel like I have authority to speak to this, so I'm going to downgrade what I just shared with you.
Right, qualify
and I'm just going
what
to say,
you share.
Yeah, it's like, right, like you should have known that expert information. So I want to encourage the audience, don't use the word right as a filler word. You're actually calling your
or like.
Absolutely.
So I have to really then just stop talking because there you go. I use
exactly. So they shine light on these critical moments. And so as a communicator, it's my job to say, hey, have you noticed this critical fact taking place here? Or another one is they're going to show things from different angles. Even on the in-house broadcast at the Dallas Cowboys, there's about 14 different cameras. And that's just for the in-house show with that big screen that's on the inside there. So in order to see things, you need to look at things from a different angle. So as a communicator, are you helping the person just turn their perspective just a little bit and just saying, have you noticed this from this side? You don't have to combat people. Sometimes what if you just change the angle? What if you just help them see, trust that they can figure this out? Imagine that as a team. If as a leader, if you trusted that your team could figure things out, that's a critical belief. So then my job, just like the play-by-play, is really just to show things from a different angle. And they're going to go, oh, now I see it. Now I see it.
Different angle, different choices.
Yeah.
Yes, different angle, different choices. Every broadcast, live sports broadcast does this over and between every play. They show it at different angles because different angles show different choices. That I love that line, Deirdre. I may have to pause this and write that down. I love that.
Use it.
Absolutely. So another thing is they show the invisible. So they always have one camera that's wide, but then they have multiple cameras that are shooting these small things that a normal person can't see. It's a facial expression. It's a wince. Maybe it's a ball that barely touches the ground. They're going to show what is that invisible thing that the audience naturally doesn't see, but they need help to see. And they don't do it in an arrogant way. It's in a way of like, oh, look at this. And you'll even hear the play-by-play and the announcers say, applaud the camera work of what they were able to catch and find. By the way, they were assigned that shot beforehand. But anyway, they were given that shot and they find those details. So the communicator needs to shine light on what's invisible. What do we not know about this situation that can change our understanding of the whole thing?
So that's really being transparent and authentic. I'm looking at the clock.
I just looked at the clock.
We're almost out of time. So
how is that possible?
I don't know. I thought we were like halfway through. This went by really too fast. So Todd, we will have to have you back.
Yes.
Any parting words of advice for the folks who joined us?
Intentional communication creates an intentional outcome. The more intentional you are of giving an audience a new identity that they're proud of to step into, the more that they're going to step into it. And when you step into the fire with them, they will walk forward with you.
I love it. Step into the fire, walk forward together. Todd, thank you so much. That was great.
And a fantastic point to end on, really,
Yes.
because it means you have to think about everything and really focus on, one, your goal, but two, the other person.
Exactly. Well, We did it. Another episode. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next month. Martin, who do we have coming
We
on
have
with us?
a special guest, our good friend Michael Meath, who will be talking about ethics and AI. So join us then on November the 20th. Details to follow.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Todd. Thanks,
See you
Martin.
later.
Bye.
Bye.